he's just not like other vampires.
Good job.
Say hi, sister. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Lynn, and thanks so much for being here. So I just spilled this entire cup of coffee when I started filming a second ago. So I literally have one swig left. I had to get like 3 towels and soak it up out of the carpet. So that's a great way to start this 24-hour readathon. Oh yeah, and the last sip is just full of coffee grounds. But anyway, I'm going to be doing another 24-hour readathon. So I did my first one ever 2 weeks ago, I think, and I did it a little differently. I was kind of new to the whole game, and I did a 24-hour period instead of like the timer method, which I'm going to be doing this time. So I'm definitely going to be able to read a whole lot more. It is Friday night at 9:45, so we're getting a real late start, but I usually stay up until like 1 or 2 or 3, so we still have a lot of reading time left in the day. I'm going to be dividing up the 24 hours over tonight and Saturday and Sunday, and then I start 2 classes on Monday, so I want to knock out as much of my TBR this weekend as possible before I have to do a bunch of homework and watch videos and stuff. First off, I have a little bit of a book haul. These are what I've bought over the past couple of weeks, and I'm going to go through them really quick because I don't want to take too much time and I just want to get straight into reading. First up, we have Shakespeare, the Sonnets, and these are 154 of his sonnets. I didn't really get much exposure to Shakespeare in high school or college because I was in the STEM program. Having read these will give me, you know, a better background on Shakespeare references. Next up is The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. And this is a play, so I actually haven't read a play since The Death of a Salesman, so this will be good to switch it up, something a little different. Next is Home Before It's Dark by Riley Sager, and I am so excited about this one. This is my first ever Riley Sager, and I have seen so many like raving reviews about this, so I cannot wait to get into it. I haven't read a kind of like horror thriller in a really long time, so I think this is going to be the first one I'm starting on for this 24-hour readathon. It might not be such a good idea because it's like dark outside, so hopefully it's not too scary from the jump. Yeah, we'll see. Next up is Out of Africa by Isaac Denison. I think that's how you say it. I don't really get into too much nonfiction, but I think this is a really good one. Next up is another Shakespeare referenced book. We have Virginia Woolf, A Room of One's Own. And in this, I think the main character is supposed to be Shakespeare's sister. It says, she never writes a word and dies of her own hand, her genius unexpressed. And then the message of this is, a woman must have an income and a room of her own in order to have the freedom to create. This is very much an iconic feminist novel, so I definitely wanted to see what this one was all about. Next up is another one I'm going to be reading in this readathon. It is Ray Bradbury, The October Country. And this is actually a collection of 19 or 20 short stories, and they're all supposed to be kind of like spooky, creepy, a little bit scary. Looks like we got the Grim Reaper on the cover. There's also pictures in this, and there's nothing I love more than a picture in a book. Like we have this one. Yeah, we'll be going through this one soon. Next up we have Notes from Underground by Dostoevsky. I cannot say his last name. But anyway, this is one of his shorter books, obviously. So I don't really know too much about this one. It's got one of those like iconic opening lines that are referred to a lot. It is, I am a sick man, I am a wicked man, an unattractive man. I think my liver hurts. This will be nice to have something a lot shorter of his to go through. Next up is Swan's Way by Proust. This is supposed to be kind of a reflection on the narrator's childhood and also their family friend Charles Swan. And look at how absurdly little the text is. Like, I am literally gonna have to go get my mom's reading glasses. And the writing is like all the way in the crack. Like, look at this. That's insane. Anyway, next up is New Poems of Emily Dickinson. Kind of like Shakespeare, I don't have much exposure to Emily Dickinson, and I really want to get a more rounded knowledge, so that's why I picked this one up. Next is The Secret Garden, and this is by the same author that wrote The Little Prince. So this is supposed to be about a little girl, and apparently she's really hard to be around. She's kind of bratty. Her entire house kind of has a cholera outbreak, and both her parents die, and the servants that are left just kind of like leave her in the house, and a soldier ends up finding her and taking her to her uncle's house. Her uncle has a secret garden, so the main character kind of goes on a quest to find the secret garden, and I think during that time she becomes a better version of herself. I think I'm going to be tackling this one in the readathon as well. Next up, my sister got me this. This is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. Jules Verne is like the iconic adventure story writer, and all of his works have pretty much inspired so many action movies over the past 100 years. And this one has pictures, so I'm excited to read this one. Next, we have another classic, Madame Bovary. This one is supposed to be about our main character. She is a very beautiful woman that grows up on a farm, and she marries, and she has all these grand ideas about what marriage is supposed to be, and it turns out that it's really not that great, or at least what she imagined. Apparently it ends in tragedy, so I don't think the madam is gonna have a very happy ending. Last up, we have The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This is also a strangely large book, and it's really spaced out. Dr. Jekyll is like a mad scientist. It's giving me kind of Frankenstein vibes. It's really short. It's like one of the most popular short stories. And this is also going to be one that I am tackling in this challenge, hopefully. So you can probably tell I've picked all kind of like spookier reads. I'm wanting to get into the fall mood. Oh, which reminds me, we had a little festival in my town. It was kind of like a hometown festival down by the river. There was this vendor there that had all these super cute ceramics, and look what I got. I love it so much. But I thought it was perfect for my bookshelf. I need to organize my bookshelf. It's so chaotic right now. But I also got this little ceramic bowl for all my trinkets. But anyway, that is a long enough intro. Let's get started reading. Time for a little check-in. So I made it to page 89, and I am really enjoying this so far. So much so that I went ahead and ordered Riley Sager's newest book. It's been super hyped up, so I want to go ahead and get it, and hopefully it'll get here by tomorrow maybe, so I can include it in this little readathon. So far, this is kind of set up a little bit different. Let me show you. So this is like the book that the main character's father wrote. When our main character Maggie was 5 years old, her and her family moved into this house of horrors, and it had like a super dark history, and they stayed there for like 20 or 21 days, and they fled the home in the middle of the night, and they didn't take anything with them. Her father wrote this story about their experience at the house of horrors, but our main character Maggie is now 30 years old. It's been 25 years, and she doesn't remember any of these things happening. And his book actually made their family very famous, and they got a lot of money out of it. So it's very much followed her entire life. In the present day, her father has actually just passed away, and she's discovered that he never sold this house of horrors that they bought, and it's actually been left to her. And she's like, you know what? I don't believe you guys. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna find out the truth for myself. So at this point, she's back at the house. A lot of the stuff in her father's novel is actually checking out when she's like talking to people. Chapters with her dad's book are getting creepier and creepier. I'm like loving the switching back and forth from past to present. It's not too scary yet, but the suspense is definitely building. So I'm gonna keep reading this and probably get ready for bed, and I will maybe do one more check-in before the night's over and let you guys know what's going on. I got ready for bed and I made it to page 193. So now I don't want to go into too many spoilers, so like I'm not gonna say who or anything like that. We know now that there has definitely been a murder in this house. We don't know really anything more than that. While I'm reading this, I'm also playing like the spookiest YouTube playlist. It's called Stormy Night at JEKYLL's Castle. Let me just play a little bit. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself. I am like the biggest scaredy cat ever, but I'd probably give it like middle of the road, like 5 out of 10 on a scary scale. I'm probably gonna read a little bit more of this tonight, and I will check back in with you guys in the morning. Good morning. So I'm trying to mentally prepare myself to read like 12 hours today. It is going to be a challenge for sure. I seriously just had a heart attack like 10 minutes ago. I woke up before my alarm went off and I was reading this and I was at like a very suspenseful, scary part and my alarm went off like right in my ear and my soul left my body. I seriously about crap my pants. So my heart is like racing right now. But it was definitely a nice little jump scare to start the day off. I'm at about 4 hours of reading time so far. I'm going to push through the last 100 pages of this and then I will be back with my overall thoughts and a rating. Riley Sager really impressed me. I had such a good time reading this book. It was spooky and scary, but not like way scary because I cannot handle that. This is definitely like a solid 4.5 stars. The only thing that I wish is that our main character had been a little bit more developed. I feel like I don't really fully know her, but I love the ending. In the last 20 pages, it's so satisfying to see all of these different storylines coming together and all of it making sense in the end. I would definitely recommend this, especially if you like haunted house vibes. It has gotten so hot out here, so I'm gonna head back inside and I'm gonna pick up the short story collection by Bradbury and probably also shower and get something to eat. So my timer might be stopped for a little bit. So I'll check back in once I'm into that book. I just got a notification that another book possibly came in the mail, so let's go down and see what it is. So this is definitely a book. Guys, I have got to stop buying books. Like, I'm spending all of my money and I need to save. Izzy wants to make another video appearance. This is my little sister. She's 16 years old. Yeah, about time to get her driver's license. So let's see what we got. Oh, it's a big one. Oh. So this is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I was watching, I think, Throne of Pages video recently, and she really liked this book. I think she gave it like 4.5 stars, and we have a lot of the same opinions, so I thought I would probably enjoy this one as well. I might start reading this if I still have time in the 24 hours after reading all like the fall spooky books I want to read, so we will see if we get there. I've made it through the first 4 short stories in the October Country, and the first one was like so sad. It was about this, it was called The Dwarf, and it's about a dwarf, obviously, but whenever it's like a pretty slow or like cloudy day when the dwarf knows a lot of people aren't going to be there, he goes to the carnival just so he can go into like the fun house mirrors and look at the mirror in the back that makes him look really tall. Bradbury comes up with some weird stuff, but I think I'm going to try to slip in The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in between some of these short stories, since this one's kind of short as well. Yeah, it's like 70 or 80 pages. I'm gonna keep on trucking through all these short stories and I will check back in later. I'm right under 9 hours and I just wrapped up Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and I like this. Dr. Jekyll is kind of like mad scientist guy. It was pretty quick to read. I think it took me just over an hour. So Dr. Jekyll is this really smart kind of mad scientist, and then Mr. Hyde is this guy running around town doing shady stuff, and we see their interactions through a couple of Dr. Jekyll's friends. Also, Dr. Jekyll has named Mr. Hyde as his beneficiary in his will, and all of Jekyll's friends are like, what are you doing? Who is this guy? He's scary, he's creepy. So that's kind of like where we enter the story. I'm not gonna explain too much because it's like 70 pages, so there's not a whole lot to work with there. But yeah, I would recommend this. It wasn't scary or creepy at all. It didn't really feel like a Halloween type book. It was okay, like the tiniest bit creepy, but like not really. I'm feeling generous, so I think I'll give this a 4 out of 5 stars. It was definitely an interesting idea, especially at the time this was written. And I'm on page 215 in the short stories. I'm liking them, but it kind of seems like they're not really like short stories. It's just like the beginning of a story and then it ends on a cliffhanger. It's like, I want the end of the story, like you're just cutting off at the interesting part, but every story in this is definitely like psychologically creepy. So this is a good spooky read. I kind of want to take a break from the short stories, so I'm thinking about picking up something more fun. I'm wanting to read Interview with a Vampire by Anne Rice. I have the PDF on my laptop, so I might do that. Any book or movie with a vampire, I am all about it. I've been reading for about 5.5 hours today, and it's already getting so difficult. I can like barely keep my eyes open, but I want to get over the 12 hours today so I have less to do tomorrow, and it is 7:45 already in the afternoon. So my goal is to finish Interview with a Vampire tonight, and it's a pretty decent sized book, so it should put me into like 13 or 14 hours so far. I'm gonna go get my laptop and maybe change my reading location. I might go outside if it's not still too hot. I think it's cooled off a little bit. So yeah, I'll check back in later.
Sugar. Oh!
I made it to 12 hours. It is 1:30 in the morning, so my brain has left the chat. My eyes are no longer eyeballing. I'm on page 201. I am really enjoying this so far. I think this could be like my favorite vampire book, but I think I'm gonna have to switch over to the audiobook because my eyes are like looking at the words, but like nothing is happening upstairs. I didn't think this would be so difficult, but it definitely is. So listening to the audiobook isn't cheating, right? You know what? I'm just gonna have to make my own rules to protect my sanity. I'm gonna try to finish this tonight. As you can tell from the title of this, Interview with a Vampire, it is indeed an interview with a vampire. So we met the main character, Lewis, who is the one being interviewed, and he's being interviewed by a boy. We're not like told the boy's name, at least not yet. Lewis wants to tell this person interviewing him like his entire life story, starting way back in the 1700s. One thing about Lewis is he's just not like other vampires. He's a nice guy. Right now, Lewis is running amok in Transylvania, so we're following him through that. And I made it to part 3 where they want to go to Paris. I'm gonna switch over to the audiobook now, and I will talk to you guys in the morning. I might not get finished with this, so I might have to finish up like the last 100 pages or so in the morning.
Don't you sense the danger? I whispered to her.
Good morning. So it's Sunday morning. I just finished Interview with a Vampire. I could not sleep last night. I ended up listening to the audiobook until like 4 a.m. and then I had like an hour left this morning, so I went ahead and finished that. It's been 15 hours and 43 minutes. So less than 9 hours left. So Interview with a Vampire, I really enjoyed it. I don't know what I was expecting. I thought there was going to be like a lot of action. There was action, but it was definitely more about Lewis's struggle with his own mortality. He can't really come to terms with the fact that as long as he lives, it means he'll have to continue to kill. Also, this idea of being a vampire is like very much glamorized. And this book kind of like pulls back the curtain and shows, you know, if you live long enough, everyone and everything that you love will eventually die. Sorry, it gets a little dark. But that's pretty much like the premise of it. This is very much a dark gothic, so it was very heavy on like atmospheric setting, and it was set in Louisiana and also like old Europe. So if you love like a dark atmosphere, you'll definitely like this one. I did have a really good time listening / reading it. So I have 8 hours and 15 minutes left. The end is in sight. I'm gonna push myself, try to make it through this, finish strong. I'm probably gonna get some breakfast, make a coffee. It's already like 12:30. I woke up really late. Hopefully the other Riley Sager book gets here, and I will check back in with you guys once I'm reading again.
Good job, sister.
Guess what just arrived? I am so excited for this one. If it's anything like Home Before Dark, I am going to read this so fast, which makes the 24-hour readathon a lot easier. So this is an addictive gothic chiller about a young caregiver assigned to work for a woman accused of a Lizzie Borden-like massacre decades earlier. Riley Sager loves a creepy rhyme or a creepy song. In Home Before Dark, an old record player kept playing 16 going on 17, like that really old song from The Sound of Music. And in this one, there's also a creepy little rhyme. It says, at 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope, stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It wasn't me, Lenora said, but she's the only one not dead. So yeah, that's just a fun little schoolyard rhyme we get. I love the cover of this. I don't have any books on my shelf that are like this color scheme. We got a big house on the hill. I'm gonna be reading this one. It's probably gonna take like 5 or 6 hours or so. And we're in the home stretch, you guys. We actually gotta plan out what we're reading now to meet the 24 hours. So this should get me pretty close, I think, and then The Secret Garden should finish us out for the 24 hours. So I'm gonna get into the only one left, and I will give you guys an update once I kind of know what's going on. Time for an update. My face is probably really red and it feels really hot, but I made it to page 148. And so far we've met our main character Kit, which was also the name of my first rabbit, rest in peace. But anyway, Kit is a caretaker and we find out that her last assignment went very poorly. She got in trouble. It kind of sounds like she killed somebody accidentally. So because of that, her boss like kind of wants to let her go and is trying to like push her out of the company, but like not fire her. So that's how she gets assigned to Lenora Hope, the alleged family murderer. So the Hope Mansion is like at the very top of this massive cliff overlooking the Atlantic. Right past the guardrail is like a 50-foot drop. So Kit goes to the house and kind of like meets the groundskeeper, and then she also meets Lenora, and the entire house is like leaning towards the ocean. So like the second and third floors, whenever you're like walking up there, you're like disoriented and it kind of like feels like you're at sea almost. So Lenora is almost completely like paralyzed. She can kind of move her left hand, and Kit doesn't know what to think about her yet. She's like, did you murder your family? And Lenora's like, let me tell you the whole story. There's a typewriter that the previous caregiver left in Lenora's room, and Kit finds out that Lenora can type very slowly on this typewriter, but nobody knows that she can do that. Lenora's like, I'm gonna tell you the whole story, and she's like not answering yes or no, did she kill them? The characters in this book are already so much more developed than Home Before Dark, so it's great to like see the improvement as the author continues writing. I'm definitely getting through this one super fast. It's one of those thrillers that you can read in like one sitting. There are 382 pages, so I'm going to keep trucking through this. I'll give you another update once I start figuring some stuff out. So I'm pissed. This was so good for like the first literally like 300 pages. And then as stuff started to wrap up, there was just so many coincidences, like coincidence after coincidence. How many coincidences is too much for me to like suspend my disbelief? Like 3, 6, 9?
Damn, she fine?
And I think at this point, I am losing it. The mystery was so good. It's just like the first 300 pages are like 5-star for sure. But then I just did not like the ending. There are also so many things that are like too implausible for like someone to have gotten away with for like 50 years. Like someone surely would have found something out. Somebody would have talked. So I will talk about one thing that was just like too many coincidences. So, and this isn't a spoiler or anything, but on the night of the murders, there was supposed to be nobody at the house besides like the family. And then as we go through the story, we find out, oh, so-and-so was there. And another person's like, oh, I was also there. And so-and-so was also there. It's like, who actually wasn't there? So it's like every single person was there in some way or another. I mean, this is still a really good book if you just don't dissect the ending too much. And I just finished up Home Before Dark, and I liked the way that it concluded so much that I was expecting it to kind of tie up very nicely. And this was just too far of a reach for me. Overall, the first 300 pages are like 5 stars, but then the last 50 pages, I'm like 2-star. So overall, I would give this like a high 3.5 stars maybe. That feels mean because this is a good book. It's just, I did not like the ending. So yeah, I'm gonna say a solid between 3.5 and 4 stars. Oh, also, I'm at 21 hours and 18 minutes. So next up is The Secret Garden. I'm gonna start on that and hopefully try to keep my sanity. I have so many stories swirling around in my head. So it's getting hard to like keep all of them straight. I think the short stories are like not a good idea for a 24-hour readathon. That was like 12 different stories with all these different characters, and now they're all just getting mixed up. So next time I might avoid that. But without further ado, let's get started on The Secret Garden, which I don't know if that will be the last book. We might start one more before the 24 hours is up. I'm finally finished. It's been 24 hours and 39 minutes. Somebody needs up here. She just has to be in every video. Anyway, it took a little bit longer than I was expecting to finish The Secret Garden. I think it was more about like 4 hours. This is such a heartwarming, wholesome book. My small heart grew 3 sizes while reading this. This reminded me so much of Anne of Green Gables. Also a little bit of Jane Eyre. It's got that young girl ostracized by society type thing going for it. I love books that have that premise. This is for sure a 5-star, and I would love to read this to my kids one day. I can't believe the 24 hours is finally over. It feels like I've been reading for 2 weeks. Once I was like 20 hours in, I'm like, this was definitely not the best idea to do right before school starts because I've just used like my maximum brain power over the weekend. This semester is not gonna be fun, but at least we got it done. So we had Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, 2 Riley Sagers, my favorite one, and the okay-ish one. And then the short stories, I didn't finish all of these. I think I had 4 more to go. So I'll need to finish these up later. And then also read the PDF of Interview with a Vampire. These for sure put me in the Halloween fall mood. As you can see, we did a little decorating yesterday, even though there's like a heat index of like 105 right now. If I had to rank like my top 3 favorite books from this readathon, I would definitely say Home Before Dark, The Secret Garden, and Interview with a Vampire. I would for sure recommend those. Those are perfect for the fall, and they're just really great reads. So I think I'm gonna wrap up this 24-hour readathon. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now I have to go get ready to start the semester tomorrow. So send me some thoughts and prayers. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Say bye-bye. No.